rather didn't look. But these are the people of the towns, of the towns, the towns, of the towns. And large cities are just a bunch of big small towns, big small towns, overlapping side by side, big small towns. I see new people every day. Everyone's on their way, doing the things that fill their day. And I'm going places too, doing the things that I do with my time. We are the people of the towns, of the towns, the towns, of the towns. And large cities are just a bunch of big small towns, big small towns, diagonal, top to bottom, big small towns. Be nice to the people of the towns. Once in a while look around, 'cause what's going around's coming around. What came around's coming around. What's going around's coming around. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns.
Well, greetings, everyone. Greetings, listener. Greetings, downloader. Greetings, viewer. This is the Councilman coming at you with producer Dave, as always. We're doing a little special stocking stuffer here of Down Ballot for you, because as the calendar works out this year, we're not going to have a live Down Ballot broadcast for the next few Tuesdays, probably through into the new year. So we will see you in January. You see what I did there? And hopefully we'll have a lot of juicy stuff to discuss. Right now, there's really not a whole lot happening at the local level in our political sphere, really in anyone's local political sphere, probably. The holidays tend to be a time for relaxation, reflection, repentance, and regret. And a whole lot of regret, I think, this year from a lot of us, and maybe some repentance from some of us. But anyway, long story short, we wanted to give you a little taste of Down Ballot, since you're going to be missing us, I'm sure, for the next few weeks. I know that you tune in every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, because you really need a fix of the Down Ballot and our dulcet tones. So here you go. A little bit of a sampling of it that you can download and review and pick apart anytime you like. But we had one particular news hit, as it were, in the past week or so that I thought deserved and merited some attention and some review from the producer and myself. So we're going to jump right into it in a second. But producer Dave, any thoughts before we jump in? Any welcoming comments?
No, just I kind of went over this during the Sunday show, but I just thought that since you had suggested it for Down Ballot, that we would still do this so that people had something to take a look at. The Sunday show, by the way, for anybody checking it out, is called The Plex, and you can just search for it. I think on Spotify, it's smart enough to like recommend it to you when you listen to this show. So, and if you're watching on YouTube, it's on the same YouTube channel and stuff, and you can sort of make your own decisions around that. And like you were saying, maybe we'll do some public comment from San Jose when we have a little bit of time, or maybe I'll drag your ass on the Colts show one night or something like that. Well, so people don't start jonesing for the councilman whose last name is actually not Jones.
But you can follow me at Jonesy, at THE_councilman on the X type Elon Musk thing. If you really want to. I'm not there a whole lot, but if you need to find me, that's where you can find me. Slip into my DMs, please. Yes, we will certainly get into some juicy public commentary very soon. There are a couple moments I can recall from recent council meetings, especially in San Jose, that would merit a little bit of down ballot, tomfoolery, as you will. But yes, absolutely tune in every Sunday night to the Plex. It is the origin story of so many people who are associated with this wonderful network, including myself. I remember my first interview as a council candidate was on the Plex, and they tore me a new one. It was awful. I've never.
We talked about
really.
Soaking.
Yeah, I think that's
why you lost, actually.
I was about to say, I think that really was the downfall of my campaign, was coming on the Plex. But in a way, it saved me from 8 years of just hell and high water. I will actually point out, as soon as we're done recording this little quick hit, I'm going to be joining The Good Wife and the Bad Baby at the terming out celebration for the very person who won that race 8 years ago. So time definitely flies. But thank you for 8 years of wonderful zaniness, Producer Dave. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah. And maybe during the new year, we're going to shake things up a little bit, maybe get some earlier start times for some of the stuff, and maybe we'll see you on some of the other wild and crazy, wacky things that are going on here.
Nice. And I did reconnect recently with the reporter. She has returned to San Francisco and is working in those environs mostly. But she has, I'm sure, plenty of stories to tell. So I wanted to try and get her on the show as soon as possible for a little interviewees, maybe some clip review. She's really enjoyed her time on the show, so we'll get her back in here in the new year too.
Great. And I didn't know that she had moved back. You said San Francisco proper?
Correct. Yeah, she's doing work up there with a local nonprofit news outlet, and living in the area. She's doing mostly remote work, editing work. But and she has a bad baby of her own. So I'm sure she'd love to talk. She and I could come on Downballot and swap parenting tips.
And well, with no further ado, I don't even know where that word comes from, but let's get to it. This is a show called. The issue is, and this is, you said it's out of Los Angeles. What were you saying about this show before we get started here?
Yeah, it's a local-ish Fox News talk show, aligned with the political bent. The host tends to be a little more on the conservative side, right? Somewhere probably between. On the spectrum, probably right between Tucker Carlson and Anderson Cooper, right? Just tolerable enough, and just for moderates to find appealing, or at least to have on background noise, and then just conservative enough for all those Angelinos who are just racist and fucked up enough to be members of the Republican Party. Oh, hello, what's happening? So this is a recent hit from his show, The Issue Is, and I guess the surprise here is the guest is the mayor of a city from Northern California when this show is based in Southern California. So why would the mayor of, say, I don't know, San Jose want to come on a show like this where the primary audience is folks and conservative folks in Southern California and Los Angeles? Well, that tends to happen when you're looking to expand your reach and expand your brand and expand your name ID in hopes of running for some other office down the line. And sure enough, I'm pretty sure that's what the Mayor ED209, Mayor Matt Mahan from San Jose, was up to when he made an appearance on this show to critique, shall we say, Gavin Newsom and the Democratic Party's approach to resisting the Trump administration, and wanted to highlight his own approach, what his own approach might be, and what he thinks the party should focus on, despite the fact that he's never really been an active, engaged, loyal member of the Democratic Party. I think probably a Democrat by convenience, since it's very hard to be a Republican in politics in California and be successful. So he's appealing to the same kind of base that his mentor, Sam Liccardo, appealed to in his recent congressional run and throughout his mayoral tenure, looking for those college-educated, white, male mostly, Democrats and Republicans and independents who love words like, accountability and transparency and results. So we're going to kick this off. It's about a 13-minute clip, and we'll be stopping intermittently to comment on as we see fit. But I'll let it roll for a minute, and you can kind of get a taste of what's to come. And we get to see our lovely Mayor No Tie. I'll call him Mayor ED209 No Tie.
You're watching The Issue Is.
And welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Alex Michelson. With us is the mayor of San Jose, Matt Mahan, to talk about a potential new way forward for Democrats. Mahan was the first Democratic mayor in California to support Prop 36, the effort to reform Prop 47, with tougher penalties for some thefts and drug use. Got almost 70% of the vote, despite most Democratic leaders, including Governor Newsom, opposing it. On a similar note this week, independent Nathan Hochman was sworn in as LA County District Attorney by Arnold Schwarzenegger after defeating the co-author of Prop 47, George Gascon, by around 20 points. So is there a realignment now happening in our politics? Mayor Mahan, welcome back to The Issue Is. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
What is going on right now, and what is the lesson from Prop 36?
Well, there's a big gap between where ordinary Californians are and the political establishment in Sacramento. You saw that with 36. Make no mistake, that was a voter revolt. Voters kept telling us they were worried about crime. Sacramento kept saying...
Yeah, but voters kept telling us they were worried about crime because you and the fucking local news kept telling them that they were worried about crime.
Correct, and it's a voter revolt. Don't forget Mahan's rallying cry slogan, the common sense revolution, right? Revolution of common sense. So he's already harkening back to that. He's right on message, right on brand. I can't fault him there. But yeah, it does ring a little hollow.
There's no problem here. They were not serious about it, and voters have voted for change. I'm worried they haven't gotten the message yet. I haven't heard a word about implementation. We need to expand treatment beds and get people...
Oh, yeah, that's because everybody wants to do it, and nobody's going to want to fucking pay for it, dude. Come on.
Right. And meanwhile they're showing like the smash and grab, shoplifting crimes when they're talking about mental health and drug health and drug abuse issues, right? So it's a disconnect already in the visuals within the clip itself and what they're actually talking about. Although they're trying to make a connection that doesn't necessarily exist, a correlation, right, for folks
that they need and have consequences for repeat crime. Similarly, on energy costs, we've got the governor of the Central Valley saying, I hear you, and yet we're passing policies that are going to raise gas prices 65 cents next year. We want EV adoption, but we're talking about excluding the leading EV maker, which actually makes its cars here in the state of California. So it feels overtly political. So I'm worried that the party isn't getting the message. We need less performative politics and more focus on government performance.
So you think the effort on CARB, which is basically changing some of the environmental regulations on oil companies, is a bad idea?
Well, the legislature held a special session on energy prices and managed, as a result, to push another refiner out of the state, which is going to increase costs. I'm all for the clean tech revolution. We were one of the first cities in the state, in the country, to sign up for aggressive climate goals, but we have to be real with people about what it's going to take to get there. We need a lot more storage, not just to push refineries out prematurely.
What do you think is the message from Donald Trump's victory? Obviously, Democrats in the state were able to flip 3 congressional seats, but Trump able to gain in this state and gain in counties across the country.
I think the message is really about listening to people.
Yes, Donald Trump famously listens to other people.
Right. We need to listen to the folks. Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
If we just opened our ears and listened to people, Producer Dave, the world would be a lot better.
Democratic leadership, particularly in the state, is having a conversation with itself, with interest group leaders. We need to talk to people out in the grocery store. I have a hard time getting through the grocery store every weekend because people want to talk to me about crime and homelessness and the high cost.
Where do you think this guy, I'm guessing Lunardi's.
Lunardi's, Whole Foods, perhaps. Cosentino's back in the day would have been. I'm guessing, though. I mean, he's in Blossom Valley, so, whatever's convenient. It was near your old stomping grounds. So.
Maybe a Sprouts.
Sprouts, that's more likely what's going on. But I also don't really picture him as the guy going down the aisle, picking out the brand of pancake mix that's best suited for his kid's diet. Just doesn't seem like the kind of guy that does that.
Living. And we need to focus on driving forward solutions that bring down housing costs, reduce crime, get people into treatment, end this era of encampments, clean up the state, and create more economic opportunity. That's what people care about, and we're getting distracted by other issues.
And you think the National Democratic Party is doing that too?
I do.
Yeah.
When they say distracted by other issues, they mean trans people. They mean queer people. They mean like racism. They mean like what they was. We would. I don't like the term, but like culture war issues.
Yeah, or what they call, people like to call identity politics, right? Or what the right likes to call identity politics. That's exactly what he's talking about. And the culture wars, the war with the Trump culture, right? Which is a very serious threat to the world and the life and the culture we've kind of wanted to establish here in California, especially. So it's it's a distraction in as much as you care about these issues, right? And you recognize that these issues are fundamental to making real change and enacting real lasting change, right? We can't have systemic change. We can't end homelessness. We can't increase public safety. We can't do all, really combat climate change until we have rectified and cleaned up the system that is broken, right? And fixed the system that's already broken and is aligned against certain people, right? And that's entirely what they want to call identity politics or culture wars. That's exactly what we need to be addressing to weed it out, because we can't begin to solve these problems unless we do that. And if we're not, we're just kicking the can down the road and we're not going to solve anything. We don't want to solve anything, and that's more than likely what the case is here.
Just real quick, if like it's your rights and your freedom and your safety on the line, these issues are not a distraction.
100%. Like I don't care where Mayor ED209 grew up in Watsonville, in what kind of situation socioeconomically, but he is not one of these protected classes or underrepresented populations, misrepresented, underserved, whatever you want to call it, right? Historically marginalized peoples. He's not any of those things. He's just like me. He's a straight white dude with a beard. Not a very good one. So he really doesn't have a lot of space to ignore those issues, because I feel like we have an obligation to address those issues, especially with our, the privilege of being a straight white male in this society. Anyway, off my soapbox for a second. Just for a second.
And the first reaction to Trump's victory from the governor of the state, Governor Newsom, was to call a special session. They've talked about it as a Trump-proofing of California. You think that's a wise use of time?
Well, I think that the best resistance, if you want to call it that, is to make California work. Prove that what we're doing here is a model for the country going forward. That's where we've been. For the last 50 years, we were the state that led the way. We innovated, we solved problems, we were the trendsetter.
Yeah, and then we elected Matt Mahan as the mayor of San Jose, and everything went to shit.
Pretty much, right? Well, I mean, and if we were doing so well, we're not doing so great now. So it's your bad, man. But we're still, I don't know where he gets off. Like, we're still innovating. California is still one of the largest, most vibrant economies in the world. It's just there's a lot of economic inequality, and there's a lot of issues under the surface and above the surface and right in our face that we need to deal with in a systemic way. But to say that we're entirely off the track is, I think, a misrepresentation. I think that there is a lot of potential in California still. We're just not realizing it.
And now we're reacting. And I don't, sure, there will be things we can work with the Trump administration on. There may be places we have to push back, and there may be some legal battles, but the emphasis should be making our state the most economically vibrant and competitive, having the best public schools, getting everybody housed, controlling cost of living for working families. If we do that, I don't think we have to worry too much about what Trump does. And I think we will continue to lead the nation forward. But unfortunately, people aren't looking to us for leadership anymore. And that's a problem.
So basically, if you were governor, it doesn't sound like you'd be calling a special session to try to pass funding to sue the Trump administration, which hasn't even taken office yet.
I'd call a special session on how we're going to build more housing where it makes sense to bring down the cost of housing, expand basic dignified shelter and treatment centers and compel people to come indoors and get the help that they need. I'd call a special session on improving public schools. But
those things are supposed to be covered by the regular session.
Well, I mean, they are, and they you could do this anytime. You don't have a special session for any of these things. There's committees. There are endless bills and endless discussions year after year about what to do about these situations. You don't need a special session. And I do want to take a real quick point of information to say that it was not like this was, it's made out like this is some sort of 2-week retreat in Cabo San Lucas with a bunch of legislators, right? Like just batting around, how do we Trump-proof California? It was literally 2 hours. It was literally a 2-hour session. I watched the whole thing while I was busy scratching my butt and eating my lunch. They swore in all the new legislators. And then they had a discussion of basically allocating resources to the Attorney General's office so that they can sue the Trump administration over their bullshit policies. That's pretty much all it was. It didn't take much time out of anyone's day. They were already going to be there anyway. And on top of that, like, this is the same kind of guy who talks about government efficiency and accountability. I mean, the legislature, granted, they have a really tough job. I'm not gonna lie, and it's tough work, and a lot of work does get done behind the scenes when they're not in session. But really, they're out of session more than they're in session. So it's not as though it's taking a bunch of time away from something else, right? They're not doing anything else, right? Maybe they should. Maybe that could be his point: is that they should do more with the time that they have. They're not doing enough, and that one could make that argument. There's whole months of hiatus between, sessions because they're home in their districts, doing the constituent work and, meeting the people, serving the people. But really a lot of the work is getting done to change things, right? Move things forward is happening in Sacramento. So one could argue that they should be doing more, but to say that this is some sort of waste of time is ridiculous because it's not really like wasting anything else. And it wasn't a whole lot of time to begin with. So much ado about nothing.
The rising cost of energy in a way that still puts us on a path to meeting our climate goals, but doesn't prematurely drive up costs unnecessarily.
Sounds like what
you're also really interesting for a guy from San Jose who manages the city of San Jose to be talking about costs. How much it costs to be a person in this country, because San Jose, as the rent and cost of living in Oakland and San Francisco have gone down, San Jose has continued to go up.
Yeah, and there's factors that play that no mayor, no leader, civic leader can really manage or be held responsible for on their own. Like I said, there are systemic problems in our economics, especially in San Jose. And unique to San Jose. Yes, it's really not his place to speak in that space. But again, he's trying to build his statewide profile and maybe trying to downplay the fact that he's from San Jose. Right? He said, "Oh, we've got a lot of climate forward legislation and policies, but we need to be real with people about the costs." Right. And what it's going to take to do this. And he's really, again, playing towards that more moderate, fiscally conservative, fiscally responsible, whatever you want to call them, vote electorate, the ones that vote heavily in all elections. So especially statewide elections. So I think he's just trying to position himself as a good hardline, like he said in his campaign, a good hardline, common sense Democrat. problem is, a lot of what he's talking about in terms of compelling people indoors, basically criminalizing homelessness and mental health issues, are talking points that are maybe they're not directly out of Trump's playbook, but they're certainly out of a playbook that is not the Democratic Party's platform, and he's already feeling the heat from the Democratic Party and from Democratic activists about this interview and other things he's said throughout his very brief political career. So he's not making any friends, but I don't think he's trying to make any friends with the party either, right? So to him, it's probably he knows that going in, he doesn't care. So, but he is certainly happy to fly the Democratic flag, and whatever rogue fringe Democratic groups want to endorse him, he'll gladly fly their flag on his mailers to show that he is a Democrat. But at the end of the day, you gotta walk the walk too.
Saying is that you think the governor is focused on the wrong things.
I think the Democratic Party in our state needs to get back to basics, listen to ordinary people about the issues that affect their daily lives, be honest that the policies and programs we have in place are not always delivering the outcomes we need. It's why I was an early backer of Prop 36. It's very clear to me that we were failing to grapple with this phenomenon of repeat offenders. We're failing to hold people accountable who are repeatedly committing crime, and failing to intervene and get people into drug treatment to help them turn their lives around. That's not a partisan or ideological issue. That's a practical issue where our policies weren't working, and now we need to go implement Prop 36 to fix it.
A huge issue in this state is homelessness. This is something that people talk about in the grocery stores. They certainly talk about that to me and when I see people. And there's been different approaches. One's called Housing First, which is this idea of let's get people into permanent supportive housing. The others is sort of an idea of Shelter First, which is let's get people off the streets to wherever we have to get them because it's taken too long to get permanent supportive housing. What do you believe in, and what do you think is working in San Jose?
Well, when I ran for mayor 3 years ago, I ran against the idea that we're going to end homelessness by having our primary strategy be building brand new apartments at $1 million a door. We need to build basic dignity.
So he's presenting a false choice already.
Right. I mean, that's really not it's not this or, right?
And when they talk about the price of building this stuff, right, there's a couple things. One, in San Jose, just to buy the land to put the housing on is so expensive that you're driving up the price per door. And then it's just more expensive to build here anyway because of earthquake stuff. Like people in other places where there's no earthquakes, they don't understand that the standards for buildings, especially multi-story, multi-unit dwellings, is very high here, and meeting those standards costs money.
Yeah, and labor costs are also higher, right? The cost of living is higher in general. Cost of goods and services, it's all higher. But this is what he talks about when he's talking about ordinary people, right? He's who are these ordinary people he's talking about? It's people like him, right? He's speaking to them. He's speaking their language, and he's if he's selling a false choice, it's all in service of his narrative and their narrative that they're just trying to clean up and sweep everything under the rug as quickly as possible, so no one has to deal with the icky homeless people.
Yeah, it's gross.
That's pretty much all it is.
Require that people use it, and we need to invest in the supportive services like drug treatment and job training that help people turn their lives around. That's not to deny that we have an affordable housing crisis. But the way to solve that is not to tax residents to build the most expensive possible housing at $1 million a door. It's to actually remove the restrictions, the fees, the process we have around housing. It's wrong that it costs twice as much to build the exact same apartment in California as it does in Arizona or Texas. We are in our own way when it comes to housing costs, and we need to look at the overall regulatory environment. The answer can't just be another tax, another bond. It's got to be getting down into the guts of what's going wrong in this overly bureaucratic and restrictive government that we have in California.
What obstacles are...
Can we stop it here for a second? I just want to just to point out that he's talking about removing government red tape, right? And there's a lot that can be done there at the local level, especially in his own city, by funding additional positions in planning, building, code enforcement departments, so that projects can get permitted. They can get their entitlements, as they're called, their zoning changes and their general plan amendments. They can get them passed more quickly, so we can get more housing production going. But quickly, you need to invest in the people to do that, and we're not doing that. Two, it's still not the driving cost in all of these factors. We talked about labor costs and cost of goods and the specifics of the California environment that they have to deal with. Those are the big driving costs. What he's talking about is what government can control, right? And what developers can control, because they control government through their donations and their campaign contributions and independent expenditures. They control politicians. They control those purse strings because they can get those policies changed. And that's what we're really talking about here. We're talking about not the big chunks of the cost, but the cost that the government can control and has purview over. So that's one thing. But the other thing, again, is the people that it takes to get it done. I think that we forget about that when we talk about government red tape and bureaucracy. And we also forget that a lot of this red tape and bureaucracy is really to make sure that these projects do pencil out, not just for the developers, but for the city and for the people and for the folks they're supposed to serve, right? Because really, the argument here is that we should need to be producing more housing, just whatever it is. We can't wait around for the perfect, affordable housing project and to bring costs down for building it ourselves. We should need to let people build as much as they possibly can, and that'll solve the crisis, right? By putting more on the market, that'll bring down costs. Well, you and I both know that's bullshit. Nothing's going to bring down the cost of housing. The costs are only going to continue to go up over time, no matter how much you produce. So they're just talking about building more market rate housing, so more market rate families can live in their market rate housing, and the rest of us, most of us, are priced out eventually. And they don't particularly seem to care that that's the impacts that's going to have on our economy and our society and our culture and all this, all the things that they're trying to protect, that he's trying to protect, are at risk if we end up in that kind of, tiered caste system. So careful what they wish for. That's all I'm saying.
Because we talk about all these homelessness solutions, and then the problem keeps getting worse.
Well, actually, in San Jose, over the last 2 years, we've reduced the number of people living outside by about 15%. And the way we've done it.
So I mentioned on Saturday or Sunday, did we? It's really hard to get a count of this stuff. And if you go out and count on Wednesday and you count on Thursday, you could have a swing of 30% either direction, just based on who you see, where you see them, where you're looking, who you have looking, how hard you're looking, and whether or not the people know that you're looking and go fucking hide somewhere.
Right. It's a point. They do a point in time count, so it is around the same time every year. But you're right. There is no standard for how the count is done. There's no standard for who's doing it, how the surveys are conducted. It's not like the census, right? Even though they call it the homeless census, it's not the census. So it is much more haphazard, and you can't necessarily trust the numbers year over year. And yeah, sure, there's a 15% reduction in the last 2 years of people living on the street, according to the study. And then next year, who knows, when the number goes up 30%, what are you going to say, right? You'll always tout the numbers that help you, right? When the economic and jobs numbers come out, if they're good, the president will say, look what I did. And if they suck, the president will say, look what my predecessor left me with. I'm still trying to clean up all of their mess. So, yeah, I think whatever the numbers are going to be, this guy's all about numbers. He's all about metrics. He's all about ED209. So if it computes and it makes sense for his narrative, he'll just run with it.
By converting motels, and that's a place where I give the governor credit. The Home Key Project has helped fund that work. We've stood up modular units and interim housing solutions. We've added safe parking, and now we're looking at a safe sleeping site. We're creating basic, dignified, managed environments with security, sanitation, and supportive services. And when they're available, we are banning camping and requiring that people use them. That's the formula. If we want to end unsheltered homelessness, you got to have places for people to go and hold people accountable for using them.
Another big issue, especially in San Jose, the heart of Silicon Valley, is artificial intelligence.
I'm going to throw up.
Yeah, can we talk about the housing really quick? Just because they're going on to AI, and I want to make sure
anything but AI.
I want to make sure we hit on this. A couple things. Yes, we do need. It's got to be an and and this approach to, ending, quote unquote, ending homelessness. We're not going to end homelessness, right? It's just, we're in a capitalist society, right? There are going to be poor people. There are going to be rich people. There are going to be homeless people. It's just how it happens. But we're at a crisis because there's just so many, and there are so many families and people on the verge of and housing insecure, right? That's where we're at right now. So yes, we need housing at every level. We need all sorts of options, whatever options are out there that can, yes, be low cost, but also be dignified. But to talk about, forcing people to take these options, right? That, they may not be dignified. They may be haphazard and thrown together because you're trying to do this really quickly, right? To say that, they need to take them, or what are the consequences, right? They've never articulated what are the consequences if people refuse this housing. You say, we're going to compel them to. Well, what if they don't go, right? What's the punishment? There's a punishment factor here, right? It's the same, not the same, but it's similar to when folks ask, abortion rights foes, well, if you make abortion illegal, or you're criminalizing it, what's the punishment? What does a woman get for getting an abortion? What's her
they never tell
punishment?
you.
And they never say, right? And they'll never say it here. They'll say, well, we're not criminalizing homelessness, but you are. You're compelling people to do something that they don't want to do, and you're going to put them in jail or fine them if they don't do it. And how is that any different than throwing them into a shelter or throwing them into a place they don't want to be, right? You're furthering the issue and the problem. And the thing that really irks me, I've spoken to this, I think, on Downballot before about this mayor and others, is that for years there were leaders in San Jose and elsewhere calling for really immediate solutions and all hands on deck solutions and the full slate of tools, including sanctioned encampments, right? Which Mayor 209 here calls safe sleeping sites, right? We're getting into that now, and there's actually the first one is en route to being established in San Jose. And yet, no less than 2 years ago, when he was on the city council, or before he was mayor, or even before he ran for re-election, and before this interview for sure, Mayor Mahan was on the record as opposing that, right? And most of the council did. There was only one council member at the time who was pushing it, and couldn't even get a second, couldn't get another council member to back the proposal for years, and up until they termed out a couple of years ago when Mayor Mahan was a council member. So to say that he's suddenly and it seems like he's implying that he's always sort of been for this sort of all hands on deck solution and identifying that there's a crisis and our leaders have failed us. Well, he was part of that problem. As brief as his time was on the council and his time has been at the city, he's been a part of it, right? And his predecessor was a part of it. And it's just funny to hear him criticize, to say that the San Jose was on the wrong track and that San Jose is all messed up, because his predecessor, whose policies he is continuing and wants to continue, made it that way. And his policies are going to, we'll see if any of this actually works. But he's going to have to answer in a few more years, even midterm, I think. If things don't get better, I think you're going to see the same folks who put him into office turn on him. And it's because of this. It's because of this sort of ignorance of what was really going on out there. And he's just trying to talk about performative politics. That's exactly what this is.
Yeah. And I mean, not for nothing, I don't understand why anybody would be against sanctioned places where people could, throw up a tent or park a car, or because then there's a place for them to take a shit, right? There's any number of things. A community will form there where people will help each other and maybe hook each other up with jobs or even just gig work, or community charity organizations have a place to go if they want to feed folks who are down on their luck, or deliver toys on Christmas, or any what I'm saying, those things, it seems kind of trite or whatever, but it seems like that I can't understand the reason to be against it. It's not a long-term solution, but it's if you don't have anywhere to go and it's the first time you've never had anywhere to go, well, now you know where to go.
Yeah, the idea is it is a transitional solution, right? And it is managed by nonprofits, and services are provided and centralized services and referrals are provided, right? So it's supposed to be a way station, like a safe space to go. And in concept, right? You're right. In concept, and as far as a process and an idea goes, most people are supportive of it. But these are the same people that say, oh yes, we should do everything we can to help our brothers and sisters who are living on the street. But if you could do it not in my neighborhood, that would be awesome. So
Crazy.
Right. And that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the shit hits the fan. It always is about where are we going to have this thing, right? And where are we going to have this sanctioned encampment? Because as much as people will say they want to help, there's still a stigma that they themselves put on people who are unhoused, and in as much as, they cause more crime and do more drugs and are more of a nuisance and a threat to my safety than anyone else in the population, when in fact housed people commit crimes at a much higher clip. Yeah, your neighbors commit even worse crimes, right? They're the ones that are doing all sorts of untold awful things, right? Beyond just shoplifting and trying to survive, right? Than the folks who are legitimately just trying to look for a way out, right? And they'll be screened, they'll be background checked, all the things. But folks don't see that, right? They don't see that. They just
and even closer to home, or maybe in the home, there's that old saying, and it's not an untrue saying. You want to know who's most likely to kill you? Look around your dinner table.
Yeah, right. Most accidents happen within a mile of the house. Most violent crimes are committed by someone who knows the victim. So yeah, it just boggles my mind. And on top of that, to hear this guy who previously would talk about safety issues and why it's not safe for our neighborhoods, to tout how crime statistics do go down in neighborhoods where these encampments are located in other cities, right? When affordable housing is built, and when shelters are built, and when transitional housing is built, crime and all these other things go down in those neighborhoods. Absolutely. But he's going to attribute to the fact that, they ban encampments. They ban unlawful encampments in the same area at the same time as building these things. And that cleans up the neighborhood by putting just the people we want, who want the housing, who want the safe space, into these encampments. And we clean everyone else up. The notion that you're banning encampments in places they're not already banned is ridiculous. You're not legally permitted to camp on the street anywhere, at least not in San Jose, right? So there aren't no encampment zones are the city. We're talking about creating a encampment zone, right? But when you talk about an encampment ban in a certain area, what you're saying is we're just going to police it more. We're going to sweep it. We're going to actually enforce the law when it's not getting enforced, for the most part, until someone complains at this point, because really, for good reason, like it's not healthy. It's not good for anyone's situation to keep continuously sweep folks this way and that, because they have nowhere else to go, right? And they don't even have these sanctioned encampments yet, because folks have dragged their feet. We could have had this pre-COVID, and we're still dealing with this issue now and rolling it out because lack of political will and lack of community understanding and awareness, and community common sense. How about that? Common sense. Anyway, okay. Let's talk AI.
Big issue, especially in San Jose, the heart of Silicon Valley, is artificial intelligence. And this question of how does it impact our lives? How do we regulate it? You held a conference this week with people coming from around the country to you to talk about this. What did you learn?
Well, yeah, it was great. We had our first Gov AI Coalition Summit. We had 200 public agencies come together in San Jose to share best practices. Look, AI concerns some people, and we need to take seriously the risk.
Oh, I want a tote bag.
Data security and privacy. And so we have to get that right. And we have frameworks for being able to do that. But I think there's tremendous potential for new AI-powered tools to improve productivity in government. We can speed up permitting. In San Jose, we're actually optimizing bus routes. We can reduce the time that buses spend at red lights by 50%. We're proactive.
No, you can't. Shut the fuck up.
It's a good talking point, right? He can do that in one neighborhood at like one intersection.
Hasn't there been technology for a long time that the bus has some sort of communication device on it that communicates with the lights, and the lights will tend to change in favor of the bus?
God help me, even if the bus driver doesn't have that like autonomous power, like it should. I don't know why we don't for public transit, right? Again, what we always talked about: cheaper, more efficient than driving, right? Like if it gets you there faster, that's what express bus lanes are supposed to be about. I don't understand why light rail has to stop at the same stoplights as cars in downtown. It's so tedious.
Like the light should just fucking change.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's a train. Everything changes. Sorry, drivers. Like, if we really want to encourage people to get on the train, right? If you're driving a car and you see that, you're like, oh, crap, I just got like a 1 second green light because that train's coming through. Maybe I should be on the train. Where's that train going? Maybe I can take that. Maybe I can take that train next time, and I can laugh at the guy in the car.
The thing he's talking about, though, it's existed for a long time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
And all that you're doing, if you add AI to it, I think all you're doing is having to buy an expensive fucking computer like somewhere and then wire up all the traffic lights to some expensive fucking computer system. And then the computer system, if it's using like machine learning or AI, it's going to decide, well, I like the buses that end in number 4. Right? Those are the best ones.
And it's just some enormous mainframe at City Hall that's manipulating all the lights in the city, right? Some sort of AI machine, right? They just let it go and learn from itself.
It starts
hallucinating. It's like
hallucinating
Skynet
buses and shit all over the place.
It's LightNet, yeah. Number 5 alive. Oh man.
Ooh, that movie does not stand up. By the way, you watch that
Short
movie?
Circuit.
Ooh, yeah.
There's a few things in that. I was just talking about that with The Good Wife yesterday because there's some choice moments in that movie that are like, whoa, okay.
Ooh, good movie marketed to kids. Thanks.
Yeah, it's very much so. Kids, don't try this at home.
Or don't watch Short Circuit.
Yeah, don't strap a nuclear laser to the back of a robot either. It's a really bad idea.
Identifying potholes and filling them before they create damage to somebody's vehicle and make them pay for it. We're identifying when streetlights go out, when there's graffiti. We are proactively delivering services faster.
So I live in a city where there's graffiti everywhere and it's beautiful, and it's my favorite thing about Oakland so far. Fuck you, Matt Mahan.
Yeah, seriously.
Using better tools.
Let the artists art.
Again, that's how California should lead. We should lean into creativity and innovation to make government better.
Yeah, and you're starting to see that there. I'm curious just broadly, because what you're talking about in terms of the Democratic Party is different than some of what Governor Newsom is saying. They haven't always loved a lot of dissent. What's the nature of your relationship with him and with the Democratic leaders in the state?
What's that line?
Well, the governor and I and Speaker Rivas, we have an ongoing dialogue, and it's respectful. We can agree.
Yeah, they probably have the fucking assistant is like, you're never going to guess who's on line 3.
Well, we don't like dissent, so we'll just keep him on hold. You know, that's we're not big on dissent in this party. Give me a fucking break.
I can't
We're all
imagine.
about this.
I can't
Sorry,
imagine
go
we're
ahead.
the only Democrats or liberals or whatever in this state that have decided that this guy's fucking annoying. And
Yeah,
that
I
we don't
dissent.
like him.
I dissent with this fucking guy, right? I have dissent against this guy being in my party. No, the Democratic Party was founded on dissent, and one of its core philosophies is dissent. In fact, I think that's what gets us in trouble a lot, is that we have so many factions that believe so many. We all believe in getting the same. The same goals. It's all just about how we get there, generally speaking. But yeah, it's all about dissent. I don't know what this guy's talking about. They don't have room for that.
Governor Newsom on line 2 is a chemtrails activist who is screaming, actually. And on line 3 is the San Jose mayor. And Gavin's like, line 2, please.
Give me Madison Star Moon, please.
To disagree, it may be that where we have differences largely comes from where we sit, the positions we're in. As mayor, I am responsible every single day for making our neighborhood safer, cleaner, getting people out of encampments, and building more housing. And I can't run and hide anymore. I mean, I go to the grocery store, and those are the questions people ask.
This guy spends a lot of time at the grocery store.
Right. So there's a lot of time talking about going to the grocery store.
The fact that many of the policies we have in place today simply aren't delivering the outcomes that residents are demanding. So we just may not have the same perspective on what it's going to take to deliver the better, safer, more affordable state that people want.
Are you thinking about running for governor?
I don't want to run for governor. I want to run San Jose. I love this job. I have the opportunity, if the voters decide, to do this for 8 more years because we realigned our election date. And I love what I'm doing. My wife and I are raising 2 little kids.
That's her calling right now. one of the kids just projectile vomited in the back seat, and she's wondering where the wipes are because they're not in the glove box where they're supposed to be. And the other kid is laughing and eating a candy bar that they're not supposed to have because they found it in the center console, and you don't have time to get that out of their hand because the other kid's too busy projectile vomiting all over the report that you're about to deliver at work after you're supposed to drop them off at daycare. Am I getting too deep now?
So I remember
this guy doesn't go shopping for groceries. That's all I'm saying.
I remember this from Sunday is that, watch this, he just like starts over, like resets, like he doesn't like, I mean, he sort of acknowledges the phone, but then he just like starts, like, watch, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Let's do it.
It's very, very much the thing that we make fun of him about happens right here.
Yes.
2 little kids. I love what I'm doing. My wife and I are raising 2 little kids in San Jose.
See, I told
Very
you.
Happy.
Like
Right.
he just started like eight
wait.
words. He's like, go process in his brain's like back 8 words.
It's sort of like the computer overlords were trying to contact him and send him a message of some sort, and he had to stop his talking point, and then when he came back, he had to go back to the bullet point, right? His computer brain had to go back to where he couldn't start up in the middle of the point. He had to go back to the beginning of the bullet point because that's just how the default works, right? It's like Control, delete, reset, or what?
Control Z.
Control Z, right? He just Control Z'd himself, and you can see it happen like in real time, and the smile, like that completely fake smile comes out, right? And just wait 1 moment, please, right? Yeah, ED209, complying. You must comply. You must comply.
I want to make San Jose work and make it a model for the rest of the state. But I am talking about statewide issues and Sacramento a lot because the truth is we can't solve it alone in one city. So many of our policies, the funding we have is all tied together. We can arrest somebody, but what happens on the county side with the rest of the criminal justice system matters a whole lot. We can create shelter for someone, but as a city, we don't provide the health care, the treatment services. So we need state, county, and cities to all get aligned around solutions that work.
So that's a firm no in terms of the governor's race.
I'm not running for governor. No, I'm very happy to be mayor of San Jose. I want us to be a model for the state.
This guy's not going to play in where he, like the places where he thinks he's trying to appeal to. This guy is not going to play in like Reading or Bakersfield. They're not going to like him. It's not going to matter that he's like more, maybe like a moderate conservative when you compare him. Like, and Gavin Newsom isn't like some leftist, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to play because this guy is, I mean, he's got his top button unbuttoned and no tie, which is pretty rebellious, I'd say.
I'm shocked. It's the revolution of common sense, Producer Dave.
But this guy is like, this guy was created by a Silicon Valley focus group. And so
100%.
like in the, not just like the northern, the North State where we cover sometimes, but like in the, like where all the food is grown, the Central Valley, and he's not going to play in any of those places.
Yeah, tech bro to the max. You can just read it, smell it coming, right? And just the way he talks about everything. You're right. I think that, but again, I think he's probably angling more for those quote unquote urban moderates, independents, again, college educated folks. Like he's not trying to play in Reading. He's not trying to play in the Central Valley necessarily. And when it comes down to it, if you're running for governor or a statewide position, nowadays with the open primary system, you just need to be in the top 2, right? It doesn't really matter what party you're in anymore. So you just need to be in the top 2. So you need to find enough votes and find enough enough people out there to build a coalition. They'll get you in the top 2 in that primary. That's going to be
but I don't know if just
packed.
playing well in San Jose and Orange County is going to get you elected because those are the only 2 places I see him.
It may not, but in a field that's going to be as big as it will be for governor, it could be, unless Kamala Harris gets in which case that kind of changes a lot of things. But maybe he's looking at that. Maybe he's thinking that she will get in, and he's the counterpoint, right? Because no other Democrats will be willing to challenge her.
Yeah, or he could be running for. He could be waiting until there's a Senate seat available.
Oh, he could run against Zoe Lofgren for Congress. He doesn't have to wait for her to resign or to step down, right? Either he can just do like basically like Roe did and like Eric Swalwell did and just run, right? And Sam Liccardo was about to do it. He just lucked out that Anna Eshoo resigned and he was ready to go. So, yeah, I think sky's the limit for this guy. I'm sure he sees that this is his moment, right? To get wherever he's going, he's going to get there now. So it's funny, like he didn't give a hard no. He just said, "No, I'm not running for governor." The only word missing there is yet. But it may be not governor, maybe something else, you know. Sorry. go ahead.
To meet with Mayor Bass and other big city mayors from around the state to talk
Ooh, Mayor Bass is Scientologi'd up.
what the next year will look like and how we can work together to move forward solutions to homelessness and crime and the high cost of living.
Is there anybody that is running that seems like you would back?
You know, I'm watching and waiting, and I want to see somebody who runs who is not focused on partisan battles, who's not super ideologically driven.
I don't want to see anybody who's part of a political party or has any ideas.
Daniel Lurie for governor.
Oh God. Ooh, you think London Breed might throw a hat in there?
Not now. Yeah. If she couldn't get reelected in her own city, that's a big challenge.
She'll land on her feet. She'll be fine.
She'll be a consultant.
Who identifies that what the state needs is to be safer, cleaner, more affordable, with more economic opportunity.
So out of those things, California is probably in the top of the safest, the cleanest, okay, the least affordable, but the most economic. Like, it's got to be in the top 5 and safest, cleanest, and most economic opportunity.
Doing pretty good. The inequality and the bottom is very troublesome. But yes, on the whole, we're doing fine.
I think California, they complain about all the regulations around the environment, but California is a clean fucking place.
In that regard, for sure, 100%. Safe and clean, yes, absolutely, yeah, 100%.
And offers a set of solutions that are different from what we're doing today, because frankly, we're not where we need to be as a state right now.
Let's wrap up with something fun. We do personal issues, which is your favorite part of the segment, of course.
Oh, joy.
Where we ask about you, pop culture favorites. First,
he's like, but I'm an AI.
Comes to mind. All right, you ready?
I'm terrible at pop culture. I
well,
know
that's
literally nothing in this category.
What is your
Bantz. They got
favorite TV
Bantz.
show you've recently binged?
Oh, gosh. Oh, we are watching this show called The Jackal, Day of the Jackal. You remember this?
I have not, but I got to check it out.
Pretty good.
Favorite movie you've watched lately?
Oh, man.
What are movies?
Lately. Is watching Braveheart for the 5th time?
There you go.
Oh, of course
That's
you watched
good.
it. Of course
What's
you
your
watched
favorite
Braveheart.
holiday song?
Oh, my gosh. Jingle Bell? Silent Night? How's that? That's probably a
Okay.
better one.
And what's your favorite
Wow,
holiday tradition?
he really is a robot. He doesn't have a favorite holiday song, movie, or TV show.
Oh,
like none of those
I
things.
do. You know that Whamageddon song, The Last Christmas? That's my favorite song.
See, and you're right on it, right? Like he didn't have to think about it, right? Like he has to actually, he's trying to, he has to process what is holiday, what is song, what is holiday song? Do I know holiday songs? Do I have a favorite holiday song? Jingle Bells, Silent Night.
You know, fire in the fireplace on Christmas Eve, just hanging out
God.
with the kids and
Something I saw in a movie once.
reading the night before Christmas.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your views. We appreciate it.
Boo.
I've got some jingle bells.
Thank you so
playing
much
now.
for sharing your views. The end was
Jingle
great.
bells.
Oh, the family tradition. That's just like generic shit. Like families that like we have really like there's this fucking like stool that we used to put like the milk and cookies on for Santa Claus, and it's destroyed, broken, and so we just bring it out every year. Like come on. Like have something
right.
that's real about you. Like it has nothing to do with the fireplace or anything like that. It's like that this little thing that when we were kids, we used to put the milk and cookies for Santa on is in such terrible condition that we still put it out because it's very funny.
Yeah, it's sad. It's like this real faded Norman Rockwell memory that he has somewhere deep in his mind, right? Of a picture he saw once of a real family sitting around a fireplace, enjoying each other, right? And not a bunch of, robots trying to process each other's mental capacities and pre-program each other's, Christmas gifts. So yeah, definitely a revealing moment when you can't pass like that lightning personal round. And this guy even said, like, you really like this segment of the show, and he's like, no, I do not like this. No, number 5 does not like this.
Like are you binging anything? If you go, hey, I don't really have time to binge TV shows, but my favorite show is, for him, what would it be? I bet he was a fan of The Handmaid's Tale, but for the wrong reason.
Mad Men, only he wanted to be like one of the Mad Men, right?
Mad Men was kind of a redemption story, though, because I don't know if you watched a lot of it, but at the as it went on, Don Draper learned more about himself and about the way that he was treating other people, and
very much so. He's Matt. I'm sure Mahan would be a season 1 Mad Men fan,
right?
Or maybe Suits. That's probably one that he likes a lot. Definitely not Silicon Valley.
That was one of the Characters Welcome USA series that wasn't Burn Notice.
And Silicon Valley is definitely not about the folks from Silicon Valley that he hangs with, so that's not really his crew either.
That would have been very funny if he said Burn Notice. I would have been like, whoa, the dude watches Burn Notice. But he's probably rooting for like Michael's adversary. He's
Notice. It's like Squid Game. I'm sure that something he would really
Braveheart,
appreciate.
he came up with Braveheart. I was hoping
for the 5th time.
I was hoping he was going to say like Brazil, but again for the wrong reason.
Oh yeah. We needed 27 B-stroke 6 to remove him from office. That's the form. The form in Brazil.
Like, I can't believe he can't, like, other Christmas traditions. One of them is like Christmas at my place is just a contest to see who can get my dad something he'll actually use, because he's just the man who has everything he wants. He doesn't have a lot of things that he wants, but he has them all. And not only does he have them all, he has the best one of them. Like, if we wanted to buy him a car, well, we can't do that. He has a pretty dope fucking ride. Like, what do you buy him? Buy him new floor mats for his car? No, he got the car loaded, and the floor mats are probably silver woven into them and shit, because they fucking make the stuff from your shoes not smell as bad.
Well, if you do get him a car, don't forget to get the big bow, right?
Right.
From the commercial. I've always marveled at that, by the way, not to get off on a tangent, but it is the fucking holidays, and we're done with ED209. But when the husband or the wife or the spouse gets the car for the spouse for the holidays, right? And it's a big surprise, right? I don't know what's going on in your household finances and your household decision-making process, but I guarantee you, if the councilman bought a car for the good wife without telling the good wife, right, with our communal property rules here in California, and she walked out, and I was like, come on Christmas, and she walked out and saw a car in the driveway, I would not. It would not be
a holly jolly Christmas in the councilman house.
Yeah, it would not be kisses and hot cocoa and hugs and sexy time later. No, this would be much chagrin.
Where's my old car, and how are we paying for this new one?
Right, dagger. It would be dagger eyes. It would be the bad baby just looking up at both of us like, "What's happening?" It would be all bad. It would be very, very bad. And then it might entail like even in-laws being, oh, how nice, councilman got the good wife a car for the holidays, and just the good wife just hating everyone in the world for ignoring the fact that this is a really poor financial decision to make on your own.
and not for nothing, like if you were trying to hide it, that would mean you bought it in the couple days before Christmas. So boy, howdy, would they see you like you were a snack at the car dealership.
Right. How do you hide the car? Like you have to park it down the street or get them to deliver it.
I'd imagine if it's a new car, right? And they're never buying anybody, and there's nothing wrong with having a Civic, right? But these are never ads for like the new Civic. These are for like $80,000 cars.
Yeah, it's like the Lexus SUV or whatever. Right. So
they'll hold on to it for you for a couple days over there, so you can pick it up on Christmas Eve. It's
sure.
Maybe they'll even deliver it in a fucking Santa costume. Because
will they do the fucking bow?
Because you just showed up the week before Christmas and wanted the blue one that everybody's been looking at, and so you're going to pay sticker.
I mean, shit. If you do that, they should put the bow on it. I hope they have the big bow, so you don't have to go out and like buy a big bow. Where do you get a big bow anyway if you don't have one?
The car dealership.
Around? Yeah, exactly. They probably have those lying around. So anyway, well, good luck, producer Dave. I hope you get a car. Because it's
Christmas. No, yeah. Where the fuck would I park it? My God,
I know. Well, you could sell it and give the money to charity. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, but I do hope you get everything you want for the holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate.
After all the running around and shit my parents did to help facilitate all this, just making sure I was where I needed to be when I needed to be there and all that. If they give me a card that says, you owe us a big favor, it'll be a fucking holly jolly Christmas.
They send you an invoice.
Right.
In a card, in like one of those stuffed pocket cards, right, where you usually have cash. There's an invoice. That would be great.
I mean,
all right, well,
the problem with all this is you have Amazon. Like Amazon has the wish list, and you're like checking. You're like, oh, I bought a bunch of stuff today, right? Maybe you went to Ross, and you're like, oh shit, this is like a third of what I was going to pay on Amazon for this. And then you go look, you're like, wait, fuck, this isn't even on my list anymore. I guess I have now I don't have any more cabinet space to put all these fucking dishes I'm gonna have. Amazon just ruins the holidays because you're like, oh, I hope nobody really bought that. I hope it just disappeared off my list. I
can deal with having 2 matching sets of dishware. I mean, that's fine. I mean, we'll have people over occasionally.
The other thing is like, this is a big building, right? And if I got brand new dishes and I just put on the little coffee table in the lobby here, and it just said free on a brand new thing of dishes, that would disappear free from your neighbor in apartment number. Can't dox myself. Gone.
Right in a second.
You know, somebody would appreciate that, right? Because
100%.
I would need.
I'd be taking it.
I don't have a microwave yet.
No, shoot. Oh no, I did have one, but it finally did fritz. The backup microwave finally did fritz out. So I'm sorry. Because of Amazon and the wish list and stuff. I have 2 coffee makers, but no microwave. Just you're fully caffeinated. I mean, that's all. I'd love to have 2. I could do like 2 different roasts, like at the store, like a medium and a light, or a dark and a light. What I do actually. In the morning, right? There's one of them is a Keurig, but I don't use that. I use the regular one. In the morning, I do like to have like a cup of like hot coffee in the morning. Right.
But what I'll do is I'll make a whole pot and then turn it off. Once it cools down, I just dump all the leftover coffee into a pitcher in the fridge, and bam, iced coffee whenever I want it. Boom.
There you go. Right. Yeah. Way to go. That's the way to do it. And then if you just want that
from
one
the media
cup,
wench.
It's a very good call. It's like a poor man's cold brew, if you will. I dig it. All right. Well,
I mean, it's brewed and it's cold. I guess we should close the show out because now it's fucking Better Homes and Gardens with Dave and the Kids.
Down Home and Garden with the
speaking of garden, my window looks out onto a garden.
Oh, lovely.
That I don't think I have access to.
We can get some plants going behind you in this. We can get like a wall of plants or something.
The plants would have to start paying $4 a square foot for every square foot they fucking take up.
Welcome to the Bay Area. Welcome. All right. Well, shall I read this out?
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
It'll be quick. Thanks for joining us for our Downballot stocking stuffer to close out 2024. We're going to see you again the first Tuesday in January. I believe it's the 7th. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you there. In the meantime, stay tuned to all of the Echoplex Media Network shows, including the Plex on Sunday nights, both on Twitch and on your podcaster of choice. Make sure you get vaccinated over the holidays. Wear a mask when you're around your family. You have no idea where those people have been. I'm sure they're okay if you don't wear pants, but if it is appropriate, you probably want to just this once. Okay. And we're going to leave you with a little bit of music to close it out, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks so much for joining us, Producer Dave. Peace out.
To get the party started, pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing greens. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. Let's get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink. Spark it if you got it and then pass it to me, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do.
what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course. Shouldn't you be inside?
I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily.
We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band.
Molly say that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yeah,
We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy.